So this is going to be a new section of video logs in the video log playlist. So you'll have my regular reviews on movies and TV shows or other geek things. You'll have my thoughts on trailers or other announcements. You'll have my site maintenance update type vlogs, and then you'll have this particular section known as Guilty Pleasure Treasures. And it's just an opportunity for me to kind of give brief little mini reviews of some films that I personally kind of take some delight in and enjoy, but aren't necessarily the most popular choice with other people, or I feel the need to kind of justify my enjoyment of certain movies at times. So this is going to be a fun little a different section here to explore, and you get to get a sense of what's contained within my library of films and TV shows. Some really great critically acclaimed stuff, and then some schmaltzy, schlocky, B-movie type stuff perhaps, or things that didn't get the most glowing recommendations upon their release, but I find some merit in them. So let's kick it off here with a little fun sports flick from 2000 known as The Replacements, that features Gene Hackman scoping out Keanu Reeves making out with a woman on the DVD. So this is about as stereotypical of an underdog sports film as you could probably make. It's got all the tropes in it of a cheesy sports comedy drama. It's got, the rough and tumble group. The whole premise centers around this group of scab players, essentially, who are put together by Coach, I forget his name in the film, Coach Gene Hackman, to end out a season for a football team that's gone on strike. And leading the way is quarterback Shane Falco, I remember that name, played by Keanu Reeves, who, big surprise here, choked during an important game for Ohio State. Burn. And so he has to work with a whole offensive and defensive line that is pretty schizophrenic at times. You have characters like Orlando Jones, his wide receiver, who can't catch the ball worth a damn, so they finally resort to, let's face it, cheating. They put on some adhesive on his hands so he finally can catch the ball and make it stick. Even though it is technically cheating and that would never fly in a post-Deflategate world, it is worth the one line out of that whole scenario that makes me laugh every time is Orlando Jones going like, "Coach, it looks like I just jacked off an elephant." I don't know why that line still makes me chuckle. You have your guards there who are pretty cool, brother duo. You got Reese Ifans as the kicker, who's never actually kicked a football in his life and is more of a striker for soccer in the UK. And then you have one of my favorite characters in the whole affair, Jon Favreau's defensive tackle, who is just so out there psychotic and gets into such incredible Hulk-sized rages that it's hilarious to watch Jon Favreau just lose his shit. And, like a bull charges at the color red, and there's one point where he tackles Falco in practice, and he's just like, "Sorry, man, I just see the color red, and I just go at it like a bull," you know what I'm saying? And just that energy that Favreau puts into this clearly cartoon character, the Yosemite Sam of football, I like to call him, it's enjoyable. And that's the whole reason, is that even though this is the most basic and standard underdog football premise you could slap into a story, no one's sleepwalking in this movie. Gene Hackman, of all people, surprisingly has a lot of emotional investment. It seems like he does actually give a shit in this story, even though this is a character he could play in his sleep. Hoosiers. Like I said, the comedic talent's really good in this. Orlando Jones is actually very funny in this. Like Jon Favreau, my MVP, is really kind of hilarious in his role. And you have little bit parts here and there that kind of really do well. Like Jack Warden. I feel like this is one of the last films he was involved with before he passed, but he actually is doing a good job in the scenes where he, as the team's owner, and the scenes he shares with Gene Hackman over "No, you can't get rid of Falco, he's my quarterback," and he's like, "Come on, man, he's gonna choke against Dallas." I get that these two old codgers are old friends, and they have that rapport immediately in the movie, and I enjoy it. It's lovable in that sense, and I guess that's kind of the one word I'll put down for this film. It's very standard, maybe even a little substandard with regards to certain comedic beats, but it is lovable. Man, who else is in this? I'm trying to remember. You got Reese Ifans, Orlando Jones, Roy from The Office playing playing a deaf player. It's like, this is the one time where I'm like, you go, Roy. I like you for once. It's fun to see Roy giving the gym looks every once in a while to people. Interesting kind of either subplots or little characteristics they throw in here. I do love that the cheerleaders play a factor into them winning a game, essentially, and this could be considered cheating as well in this modern day, is that the cheerleaders went on strike too, because apparently, you know, if players go on strike, so do cheerleaders. So the head cheerleader, who I will admit is not the best actress, she hires a bunch of exotic dancers to fill in the role of cheerleaders, and a lot of their routines become so distracting that the defensive line is immediately distracted and they just get rushed automatically, and that's kind of hilarious. The actual plays on the field are actually really well shot, and it feels pretty brutal, especially in the last game where, as per these movies, they're down a whole lot, and at this point Falco is no longer playing because the star quarterback previously had crossed the line, and it's Brett Cullen. It's what's his name? It's Nicolas Cage's dad from Ghost Rider. I don't know why that's the first role I think of when I think of him. You can feel the blows, and even after Shane Falco comes back, you still feel the blows. Like, a guy gets his knee blown out, essentially. Like, it's pretty well done in action with regards to football plays. And it feels like there is a lot of impact involved in these shots. I'd say the one thing that doesn't work for me in this is, again, another trope of these films at times, which is the love story between Keanu Reeves as Shane Falco and the head cheerleader, who, again, I said isn't the best actress. I mean, maybe it's just because the character is so paper thin. Both characters really are kind of paper thin. They're very standard, like, oh, he's a down and out loser looking for his second chance. She's the cheerleader with a heart of gold who wants him to be at his best and sees the potential in him, so she nurtures that out of him, and so they immediately have a connection. That story doesn't really work so well in this film, and honestly, whenever we have scenes of them like connecting or having witty repartee, it doesn't work so much. And I'm just like, can we just get back to the camaraderie, please? Can we just get back to the wacky hijinks on the field? This is the part of the movie that really kind of drags. But when it works on stuff, when it does have to hit kind of this sappy emotional note, it really does it well. Like, the moments between Gene Hackman and Keanu Reeves. I'm going to give Keanu Reeves this. I like Keanu Reeves just fine. Yeah, he's not the biggest acting talent out there, definitely. And you could criticize him as playing like one role his entire life. But amidst all these colorful and wacky characters surrounding him as his team, he plays a good straight man to all that nonsense. And I buy that he has good relationships with these people on set and off set, probably. But especially when he's talking with Gene Hackman, I can't help but be kind of touched at the father-son, mentor-student bond they have there, and it works well. Again, Gene Hackman really salvages a good deal of this movie with actually caring about this role, or at least giving the appearance that he does care. I would definitely recommend The Replacements. You've seen this film dozens of times, probably done to better effect, but you know what? It's a guilty pleasure for me. I get just this primal kick out of seeing this wackiness and seeing some of this good-natured comedy that, half and half, it works, and then there's really cheesy, corny moments where I kind of roll my eyes, but I kind of roll my eyes in fun, not really in anger. Definitely, if you haven't seen The Replacements, I'd say give it a watch. Don't go into it looking for some deep message or some deep emotional turmoil with regards to what it's like to play football professionally, really, because this gives a very broad exaggeration on the whole sport, I feel. It's fun for what it is. It's a simple, fun little drama comedy thing that I feel sticks the landing. No, that's not the appropriate metaphor probably to use in a football review. Completes the passes for the most part.